We're here at Tri Business International. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we are brought to you by Endurance Sportswire, Babbittville.com. Our next guest from SRAM, Mr. James Meyer. James, how you doing?
Great. Yeah, glad to be here.
Well, we were chatting for a little bit yesterday and about the new technology that you guys are bringing to the table. Talk a little bit about what's going on with your new technology.
Right. So, SRAM has, of course, a long history in cycling technology.
Yes.
Acquired Quarq, a company that I started 10 years ago.
Did you start Quarq?
Yes, I did. Yep, 10 years ago. This month, so
and
February
Quarq,
2006.
Quarq in terms, tell our audience a little bit about Quarq and your creation of it.
So we build power meters.
Right.
So, of course, power meters are very popular now. Lots of really important for training and racing.
Yes.
And so we started into the power meter business in 2006, 10 years ago, and grew that business right out of our my hometown of Spearfish, South Dakota.
Yes.
And now we've got a big Quarq factory there in Spearfish, and we're wholly owned by SRAM. SRAM acquired us 5 years ago.
Yes.
And we've been pushing the power meter world forward and kind of trying to infuse more electronics into SRAM.
Right.
And then, of course, we're getting into new things, too.
Well, now, what was your background before you started Quarq?
So I was a kind of enthusiast age grouper triathlete. Couldn't run very well,
Yes.
but could swim and bike all right. And actually went out to buy a power meter in January 2006.
Yes.
I was living in Australia training and went to buy a power meter, looked at the options, and you got the rear wheel thing and the expensive crankset
Yes.
thing, and it was like, whoa, there's a kind of an opportunity. But
Something
my
missing
background,
there.
Yeah, and my background is mechanical engineering, but it really heavy in math and programming and some electrical engineering influence, and so it was kind of a natural fit for me to dive into that.
Exactly. And as a triathlete, because I think we did a piece on you, you were from Spearfish, South Dakota.
Yeah.
And there was another guy.
Yeah, a friend of mine, J.R. Grabinger, and the two of us in 2004.
Yeah, oh, God, has it been that long ago?
It was 2004. It was May 2004. We went down to a race in Florida.
Yes.
And we grabbed 2 Kona slots there in the 25-29 age group. And so 2 of us from Spearfish, South Dakota went to Kona in 2004.
And what was fascinating about that was back in the day, every year we'd have like 49 states represented for Ironman, and it was always South Dakota that was missing.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was actually 3 of us from South Dakota that year. Well, maybe a little more, but
yes.
Me and my friend JR, and then the ex-governor of the former governor of South Dakota,
Yes.
Frank Farrar.
He raced that year as well.
He did, yeah.
I love that. And then, so we did a piece in the Ironman program, if I'm not mistaken, on the boys from Spearfish.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so then how did your world change when you sold to SRAM? Because here you are, you're a mechanical engineer, and you see a need, you create a product, and then you're selling to a big brand. Sometimes that can be tough.
Sometimes it can. What's interesting, though, is that, I started Quarq and have kind of the entrepreneurial spirit and brought it up from the beginning and hired most of the people there and was super engaged with that location. SRAM was started by Stan Day, who is also a triathlete in his late 20s. I started in 1987, and Stan Day is still the CEO. And so even though SRAM and Quarq are different, and SRAM is much, much larger than Quarq was at the time of the acquisition, it's kind of the DNA was very, very similar. Right. And so culturally, it was very natural fit, and we're 5 years in and still like each other. So.
Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
So what I noticed when we were talking about yesterday is the technology that you guys are providing now.
Right.
So when I look at NASCAR, what really intrigues me is the cameras in the cockpit. It really brings the viewer inside. You guys are sort of doing that in the sport of triathlon and cycling by giving people at home an opportunity to see everything that's happening within that athlete.
Right. Yeah. So we've got a new project that we worked on a lot last year. Last year was a very prototyping development sort of project. It's called Collector. So this is one of the Collector devices here.
Wow.
And so basically it's a GPS and cellular modem together in a real rugged package that's built for triathlon and endurance sport.
Yes.
So this will do GPS and do live data for 24 hours.
So I carry this?
Correct. You carry it.
Put it in my bike pocket or whatever.
In your pocket or on a race belt or in a dedicated pocket in your suit. It's saltwater ready. You can swim with it. It doesn't track in the water.
Right.
But you can swim in the salt water.
Yeah.
You put it in at the beginning of the day. You leave it all day, and it tracks everything. And so we did 15 or 17 races last year as a development effort. And then in Kona, just this last October, we outfitted the entire men's and women's pro field and had live tracking for all the men and women at Kona.
What type of response did you get on that? that?
It was really great. It's a development program, so it wasn't elevated to superstar status on the Ironman website.
Right.
But it's really a super experience because when you stand out on the course, you can pull up your phone, you can see where athletes are, and then of course for the professional race, we have not only the map of where everyone's located, but position on the course and time gaps between the athletes. And so you can watch the time gaps march their way down as
someone's running through the field or riding through the field.
As we saw in October, as Raylert was running up through the
Yes.
field, you can see him picking off one athlete after another, which is great because even at Kona, fantastically huge event, one of the best covered triathlons in the world, and you don't have the course is 140 miles long. You don't have cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, but with this technology, you don't have a camera, you don't have video, but you now have knowledge of what's going on everywhere on the course at all times. And of course, it brings your power and heart rate data through in the feed along with position and speed.
What have you learned from all of this, from putting this new product on these athletes? What's been the feedback?
Yeah, well, the feedback is really interesting. As an athlete, there's this moment where you're like, well, here's this extra thing, right? And of course, you get kitted up for triathlon. There's a lot of gear involved. And so to add one more piece to the kit, there's always a little resistance to that. But what really makes it worth it, and we saw this from some of the athletes at Kona, the athlete, it's an extra piece, but not too big a deal for the friends and family and spectators.
Huge.
At home. It's a complete game changer. You now understand what's going on. We were using it in Germany with Jan Frodeno and had dinner with his parents after the race, and they loved it to be able to watch what he was doing. And
they don't have to worry about trying to get out in the different parts of the course. They could basically sit in their hotel room.
Well, and especially when it's 100 degrees there this year.
Exactly.
They can sit there and drink their iced tea in the air conditioning and run out and see Jan on every lap, and then can go back and retreat to the air conditioning, and they look like they're completely engaged, suffering on the course along with Jan, even though it's much more comfortable.
The nice thing in Kona, you could just almost set up like a SRAM center for race day, and people come in, and you've got everything set up for people can watch the whole race from there.
Right, or just on your mobile phones. It's a mobile-enabled, and PC-based everything. We should expect, and we'll see that coming in the coming years. You're going to have knowledge of what's going on the race course. It's not going to be this thing where you're looking at your watch, expecting, and doing math in your head, and this many miles per hour, and how far on the course am I, and did I miss them or not?
Right.
No, you're going to have knowledge of where your athlete is that you care about, and you'll be able to see the results. And I think it'll be all of triathlon a lot more engaging.
You see putting video and incorporating that into this unit?
I think there's a big opportunity for video, and we're looking at it. It'll be interesting to see how that works out, but it's definitely part of the future.
It seems like a partnership with GoPro or something.
That sounds great to me.
You never know, right? What is next?
So for us, we'll be working with this collector and the GPS tracking technology at more races over 2016, moving into a piloting program, expanding the reach and the touch points there. And then beyond that, we hope to get a much, much bigger to where it's a common thing at most races. And then, of course, there's other opportunities with SRAM. Quarq has power meters. We've got the GPS tracking. There's a consumer application that it's kind of nice. It's GPS enabled. You leave your house, and your friends and family will know where you are.
They can stalk you. That's
they
good.
Can stalk you, or you don't have to leave the note on the kitchen table.
Right.
If you go out on your ride and you decide to turn a different way,
right.
Now there's some awareness of where you're at. And then, of course, if you're uploading data every day, multiple times a day to a coach, all that stuff is seamless with this sort of technology. All that, everything ends up in Training Peaks or Strava or whatever.
I was going to say, so you work in conjunction with all those.
Absolutely,
Strava,
yeah. It's a very
Peaks.
Open system, and we want to, our job is to collect data from athletes as they're training or racing, and then sync that with wherever that data belongs. And of course, we'll have opportunities. This will be able to also get data from the new SRAM ETAP electronic drivetrain with shifting and gearing information.
Right?
Yeah, that'll be integrated into the system too. So all of that stuff will start to fuse together into a kind of a seamless experience.
For somebody who's sort of an entry-level age group athlete, what do you feel is the best product to start out with?
I think actually just straight up GPS and tracking your data, and looking for that consistency. And of course, even it's particularly as an athlete and you're starting, consistency is the key. And so just getting that baseline, getting those workouts every week, and recording that. And then the next thing, obviously, you when you're running, the GPS gives you speed, you get pace. That's the key indicator, the key metric for running. But on the bike, power is the common denominator. That's what lets you know what you're doing and what you're improving, and helps you plan your workouts just the way pace does when you're running.
The sport of triathlon has always been an early adapter, right? First guys into aero bars and clip-in pedals and all the rest of that. How important is the sport of triathlon for SRAM?
Oh, it's super important. Again, the early adopter piece is always important. You can, and also the triathletes are very, very well educated. And very aggressive and very performance oriented. So when you get new technology out that has potential, they're first to grab onto that and push. And that's makes triathlon super important for not just electronics products, but all cycling products for SRAM and everyone else.
James, appreciate your time. Man.
Yeah,
it's
thank you very
cool
much.
What you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're pretty excited.
Go Spearfish Bay.
Absolutely.
James Meyer has been our guest from SRAM. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.